The movie opens in the late Ming Dynasty, where a woman named Mrs. Bao is giving birth to her 9th child. As soon as her husband hears the baby cry, he rushes inside with excitement. However, his expression quickly changes when he discovers that it's a girl once again, just like the previous 8 children. Nonetheless, the youngest daughter is thrilled and she rushes to the riverbank to share the news with her sisters. A group of 8 boys are also there, and they mock the girls for not having any brothers.
You're not even boys, you losers.
These 8 boys are orphans who were raised by a former Shaolin monk named Tian Long and his younger brother, Yi Long, after rescuing them from murderous bandits. Since then, the children regard Tian Long as their father and Yi Long as their uncle. The Bao and Long families are fierce rivals due to their differing martial arts styles. The girls are trained in the Wudang clan sword-handling techniques, while the boys are learning to master the Shaolin kungfu. The mischievous San Long, the eldest of the Long children, enjoys teasing San Feng, the 3rd sister in the Bao family. She is more like a tomboy in her late teens with a fiery temper. Enraged by the mockery, San Feng grabs a long stick to teach them a lesson, but the boys don't stop. They even start singing a song about her being a tomboy. On the other hand, Tian Long instructs his brother to deliver some beef to the Bao family for Mrs. Bao's recovery. Yi Long isn't happy about this, fearing that he will not get married at this rate because a bride costs 10 cows, and they have saved only 3 in over a decade. In response, Tianlong optimistically claims that the past 6 months have been great, and now they can afford a whole leg of beef. Later on, Mr. Bao talks to his 8 daughters about their 9th sister and expresses his disappointment in their mother for not providing him with a son to carry on their family legacy. San Feng confidently asserts that she is just as capable as any boy and can continue the family's legacy herself. Her 2 older sisters find this amusing and giggle at the thought of San Feng becoming the heir or getting married. Upon hearing this, Mr. Bao tells them that he won't allow any of his daughters to marry the Shaolin boys. He believes the only reason the boys are interested in his girls is because they want to steal their unique sword fighting style, and not because they want to show them their own. On the other side of the river, the Long boys are seen practicing their kung fu techniques under the supervision of the stern Tian Long. However, the boys find his strictness quite challenging, so they gossip about him behind his back. Later that evening, Tian Long enters the boys' quarters and puts them to bed with love. This makes the boys feel bad about their earlier gossip. As a result, they apologize to him, admitting their mistake. In response, Tian Long says that they talk that way because he's not their biological father. He recounts an incident from the past, sharing how he and his brother rescued them from the bandits. This heartfelt story brings tears to the boys' eyes, and they bow before him, sincerely apologizing for their earlier gossip. Elsewhere, the ruthless bandits, who had orphaned the 8 Long boys, have been secretly training for 10 years in order to exact vengeance. They are still waiting for the right time to launch an attack on the Bao family and capture the girls. A cross-eyed member of the bandits comes up with an idea. Given the Long and Bao families' long-standing rivalry, he proposes that they can easily manipulate them into fighting each other, thus weakening both sides before executing their attack. And the rest listen to him too. With eyes like that, he can clearly see the future. As the first step of this plan, the cross-eyed bandit kills a priest and takes his place. That same night, Mr. Bao visits the nearby temple to pray for a baby boy. While he is doing so, he crosses paths with the disguised priest. The latter strikes up a conversation and claims that Mr. Bao is unable to father a son because the Long boys are stealing his masculinity. The next day, the Long boys are talking to each other when they realize that if one of Mr. Bao's daughters marries a member in their family, they can also learn sword skills. To make this happen, San Long decides to make amends with San Feng. He apologizes for their past teasing and convinces her to persuade her older sister, Tai Feng, to marry their father. The boys then steal their father's fancy outfit, and San Long wears it before heading to the opposite side of the river. On their way, they see their uncle uncle meeting Tai Feng on a bridge. It turns out that Yi Long has a crush on her, which is why he is determined to save the cows. Their meeting is soon disrupted by San Feng's arrival, urging her sister to return home. Yi Long tries to stop her, but San Feng has a sword with her, and she points at the sign that says no Shaolin shall pass this point. Helpless, Yi Long returns back, and soon after, San Long approaches San Feng to offer his apologies. When she remains uninterested, he jumps into the forbidden area, making her even more furious. She then pulls out her sword and starts attacking him. Seeing this, San Long also abandons their original plan and engages in a battle. Eventually, San Feng falls into the water, leaving her sisters in distress because she cannot swim. When San Long realizes this, he quickly dives into the water and takes her out. However, she is still unconscious, so everyone urges him to blow some air in her mouth. San Long obliges without thinking twice, and as soon as he does so, San Feng wakes up and runs away. Later that evening, the boys are impressed by San Feng's sword handling skills, and they wonder how powerful they can become if the two skills are combined. The next day, San Long approaches San Feng holding a white flag, saying that he's not there to fight, but to apologize to her. He then suggests that they can teach each other their skills, which could be beneficial to both of them. San Feng agrees to watch the demo, after which San Long starts showing some of his moves. However, when it's time for San Feng to demonstrate her skills, she declines and walks away. Despite this, San Long considers it a victory because he believes that she's taken an interest in their kung fu. His assumption turns out to be correct, as San Feng is later seen practicing kung fu moves on her own. Meanwhile, at home, Mr. Bao tries to persuade his wife to have one more child. 10th time's the charm, baby. Come on now. When he keeps insisting, Mrs. Bao agrees on one condition. He will allow one of their daughters to get married to the Long family, despite insufficient bride price. The scene then fast forwards 9 months, and the Bao family welcomes their 10th child. Finally, it is a boy, and Mr. Bao is over the moon.
Oh man, he's got a penis and everything.
Later, he hosts a grand party, and even invites the Long boys. Amidst the joyful celebration, Mrs. Bao asks Yi Long to visit their place later, with only 4 cows as a dowry. She actually wants him to marry one of her daughters. The next day, Tian Long, Yi Long, and San Long head to the Bao's residence with their cows. On their way, they see a man named Mr. Mao and his son, who are also en route with 10 cows. Upon arriving at the Bao household, the Long family offers 4 cows in exchange for Mr. Bao's second daughter, Tai Feng. Mr. Bao is furious and declines to accept such a low price, but Mrs. Bao reminds him of their deal. A short while later, Mr. Mao arrives and offers 10 fat cows for marriage. With a big smile on his face, Mr. Bao agrees to give Tai Feng to him, but Mr. Mao's son actually wants San Feng. This shocks the girl, but she knows that she can't go against her father's wishes. Hence, she agrees to the marriage, on the condition that the guy must defeat her in a duel. Soon, the fight begins, and everyone expects the guy to emerge victorious. However, to their shock, San Feng overpowers him in no time. This effectively cancels the wedding, as Mr. Bao doesn't want his daughter to get married to a freaking loser. Following this, the topic of Tai Feng's marriage with Yi Long is once again brought back. Mr. Bao imposes the requirement that the bride must be a good singer, as his daughter is fond of music. Hearing this, San Long becomes furious and accuses Mr. Bao of setting impossible conditions as an excuse to cancel the marriage. Tian Long also gets increasingly annoyed, so he walks away from there. Following this rejection, he declares that no one in the Long family will ever get married. He also shaves everyone's head, determined to live like Buddhist monks. Although the orphan boys are happy to play along, Yi Long refuses to give up on Tai Feng. San Long, who feels bad for his uncle, devises a plan. He disguises himself as Bao's new maid and sneaks into their household. There, he meets Tai Feng and asks her to elope with his uncle. She instantly agrees, as she too has feelings for Yi Long. Later, as the two of them are on their way, San Feng intercepts them, but she decides to turn a blind eye to make her sister happy. Unfortunately, the cross-eyed bandit spots them, and he has trouble turning a blind eye. So, he immediately notifies Mr. Bao and the other villagers. Moments before being apprehended, San Long and Tai Feng manage to swim across the river, but San Feng is detained. The following morning, she is prepared for the punishment for helping the sinners elope. The punishment is to drown the culprit to death. Mrs. Bao begs her husband to reconsider his decision, but he opts to follow the law. Right before San Feng is thrown into the water, San Long arrives at the scene and turns himself in, admitting that it's his fault. Unfortunately, this turns out to be a bad decision, as now both of them are going to be punished together. The two are then tied to a casket, ready to be drowned. However, Mr. Bao has a last-minute change of heart, so he pulls the casket up. Much to his shock, the casket is empty. It turns out San Long has saved San Feng and taken her to a hidden cave. In the aftermath, San Long prepares food and brings it to San Feng. She expresses her gratitude for saving her life, and the two finally resolve their long-time gaps. As their conversation unfolds, San Feng agrees to teach him some sword-handling techniques. Yeah, she does. However, their happy time is short-lived because the cross-eyed man learns about their whereabouts and informs them to Mr. Bao. Enraged, he storms toward the cave to take his daughter. Fearing for her safety, San Long tries to stop Mr. Bao, which results in an intense confrontation between the two. But soon after, Tian Long arrives on the scene and stops his boy, allowing Mr. Bao to leave with his daughter. In the next scene, two young Long boys are playing in the water when they notice the cross-eyed bandit fleeing with a bag. They follow him into the cave, where they try to distract the bandit. In the midst of this, they manage to open the bag and are shocked to discover Mr. Bao's baby boy inside. Realizing that the bandit is kidnapping the infant, the youngsters try to fight him. Not long after, Yi Long shows up and engages in a physical altercation with the bandit. However, the latter somehow manages to get away. Meanwhile, the Bao family is deeply concerned about their missing child. They assume that they are cursed. After all these years, they finally gave birth to a boy, only for him to go missing. But after a while, San Long and the others return with the baby boy, providing them with immense relief. However, the cross-eyed bandit once again decides to cause problems. He tricks Mr. Bao into thinking that the boys were the one who abducted his son. Furious, Mr. Bao berates all of them and sternly warns them never to set foot in the Bao residence again. With their evil plan now successful, the cross-eyed bandit summons the rest of his gang to launch an assault on the Bao family and capture all the girls. The Bao family desperately tries to fight the intruders, but the enemy forces outnumber them significantly. Mr. Bao gets injured and is on the verge of defeat, but at this crucial moment, the Long family shows up to support the Baos. By combining their martial arts expertise, the once rival families team up and roundly defeat and kill all the remaining bandits. In the final scene, we see that the two rival families have finally reconciled, and the movie ends with Yi Long marrying Tai Feng. Subscribe for more videos like this, turn on notifications, and leave a like to help the channel out. Thank you for watching.